The Green Bay Packers pulled off one of the biggest moves of the last decade today, trading for Micah Parsons, signing him to a 4-year deal for the highest annual salary of a defender in NFL history. And they traded 2 first-round picks and their longtime defensive tackle, Kenny Clark, in order to get this done. Parsons has been on the outs for quite some time, and the Packers are trying to gear up for a Super Bowl run, something that they haven't been able to achieve since 2011. The Green Bay Packers are in a great spot with a great head coach, a young quarterback, and now an elite edge rusher where they are poised to make some noise in the NFC this year. Let's break down the Packers and what they're getting out of Micah Parsons and how they may look during the 2025 NFL season. What's going on, everybody? My name is Ryan Linkletter, and today we are talking about the Green Bay Packers and the crazy move they just made trading for Micah Parsons. Jerry Jones let this guy walk, and obviously they paid Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb significant amount of money, but the edge rusher is a premium position in the NFL, if not the best position outside of quarterback. Now, they traded him 2 first-rounders and Kenny Clark. Not a bad haul for Parsons, as we saw a player similar to his stature of Tyreek Hill, a future Hall of Famer in his prime, get 1 first round and a cumulative of a second first rounder with all the other picks. Meanwhile, Parsons gets 2 first rounders and a player to be named. If the Cowboys are able to capitalize with their draft skills and take those 2 first rounds and be great, it could be a good move on their end. But trading a future Hall of Famer like Micah Parsons and not re-signing him to that money makes no sense if you're trying to compete in the NFL, especially with an older roster like the Cowboys have. Dak Prescott's at the tail end of his prime, probably. CeeDee Lamb's right in the middle of it. Made no sense for the Cowboys to do this, but Jerry Jones, he does what he does, and he has no remorse for it. The Packers, on the other hand, absolutely load up. Get a potential Hall of Fame edge rusher paired with a young quarterback in Jordan Love, who had some injuries he struggled with last year, but still showed signs of greatness. Meanwhile, you have one of the top coaches in the NFL, and Matt LaFleur. This Packers team is really special, and they added a first-round talent at receiver, which they haven't done in quite some time. I'm excited about these Packers, but let's take a look in the film room what Micah Parsons can do to completely change this Packers defense. All right, heading to the film room here, we're going to see Micah Parsons in his natural position on the edge over here on the right side. Parsons has absolutely dominated the NFL since coming in, making his money, making big-time plays at the edge rusher position. As you see here, one step beats the tackle, and he's demolishing Bryce Young, that poor guy in the backfield out there. But this is what Micah does. He's an absolute game changer and game wrecker since his first time taking an NFL snap. You can see here, it's the leverage and it's the hand fights that make him such a dominant edge rusher, and the speed beats him just like that. Bryce Young has no clue what happened to him, and Bryce Young's got some PTSD the rest of the game due to what Micah Parsons did to him on this play. While we mostly know Micah Parsons is an edge rusher, you're going to see him line up on the inside right here and also make havoc on the interior defensive line. A lot of the time in Dallas, you'd see him line up on the edge, and he would stunt over in the interior offensive line, causing havoc in the middle of the field, and it's a nightmare for tackles to pass that off to the interior offensive line and cause it. You're going to see him line up here on the left guard, just beat him really quickly, quick spin, it has help there. Is able to get a big-time sack against the division opponent in the Commanders. Watch that one more time. Gets here, good leverage, good hands, beats another guy, and he gets a sack, and Micah Parsons can just do it all as an edge rusher. While Parsons gets a lot of credit being an elite edge defender in terms of pass rush, he's also pretty good against the run. You'll watch him right here be able to absolutely turn this run right perfectly into his lap, and this point is exactly what you want to see out of an edge defender against a really good tackle in Ronnie Stanley. He is able to create very good positioning here on the outside shoulder. As you can see, his linebacker is filling the gap right there, and that is the B gap, and he is right there in the C gap on the outside, preventing any sort of outside contain. He's right there to make a big-time play. Micah Parsons gets it against the run. Sure, it's not his bread and butter, and he doesn't make a ton of stops against the run. We don't know him for that, but he's really good against the run too. He's not just a guy that's going to come off the edge, make a lot of plays as an edge rusher. He's going to be able to stop the run as well, and that's what Green Bay needs outside of Rashawn Gary. It's clear that Micah Parsons could significantly help the Green Bay Packers this upcoming season as an edge rusher added to this already talented team. Last offseason, they made a few big moves, most notably Xavier McKinney for this defense, who was an all-pro type talent on the defensive side of the ball for a unit that significantly needed it. Edgerton Cooper is a linebacker for them who's really stepped in. One of the highest graded linebackers according to PFF last season, was a really solid player as well, but the player they traded the Cowboys, Kenny Clark, wasn't the same interior presence he was. Rashawn Gary was really solid last season, but it wasn't a career year for him. And the secondary, with Jair Alexander missing a ton of time again, really missed a beat as they struggled at the cornerback position. And that's one of my bigger concerns for this defense heading into the year, is the current cornerback quarterback room, but they have talent in both levels. The front seven is really strong. You have two edge rushers that I really like in Gary and now Parsons. You pair that with Edgerton Cooper, Quay Walker at the linebacker position. I really like that. Xavier McKinney over the top. That's about as good as it gets on the defensive side of the ball. And the Packers haven't had a formidable group on that side in quite some time. So that's exciting. Last year, the offense, was good. Let's just say that. Like Josh Jacobs for them, great addition. He was a little bit better than Aaron Jones and carried this team down the stretch. Jordan Love's injuries caused a little bit of regression. And at the wide receiver position, it was a mix and shuffle. Just see what worked. Christian Watson was in and out of the lineup once again. Jaden Reed emerged as a playmaker, but never got the target share to suggest he could take a step forward as the team's wide receiver one. Romeo Doubs had trade rumors around his name. Dontavian Wicks never stepped into a bigger role, and the receiver group was just a bunch of guys that were trying to be bigger than what they were, and the Green Bay Packers didn't really have a guy. The tight end position, Tucker Kraft really emerged as a talented tight end who can make plays over the middle, where that's taking the ball, taking it to the house for 20 yards, and, he's a really solid player that I like. The offensive line re-signed Zach Tom. He was one of the highest graded tackles last year, so the offense is in a really good spot behind one of the offensive gurus in the NFL, Matt LaFleur, and now they have a talented defense to go with it. All in all, though, the draft class is what I'm most excited about. Let's take a look at that. The draft class starts and heads off with Matthew Golden, wide receiver from Texas, who is the first Packer to be selected in the first round in quite some time at the wide receiver position. Golden mixes a rare blend of speed with athleticism at the wide receiver position and a developing route tree that could make him a long-time winner at the position that they desperately needed in the second round. You got a guy like Anthony Belton from NC State that provides them a little bit of tackle swing and could be the long-term solution at right tackle for the Green Bay Packers. Savion Williams in the third round is another high upside receiver that fits in a very deep receiver room and gives them more depth, especially considering the injuries with Jaden Reed and Christian Watson right now. Throughout the draft, they went and addressed a little bit more depth with like Barron Sorrell at edge, Colin Oliver, Warren Brinson, Micah Robinson, John Williams. Like those guys will be solid pieces for them. But I think the top three picks for me is what I'm most excited about. Actually giving Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur the chance to have a wide receiver one, something the Packers haven't had in quite some time, and they get it in Matthew Golden. That's exciting. And this is the type of move that elevates Jordan Love from a really solid quarterback to one of the best in the league, having a elite level wide receiver, a great head coach, and a great run game to go along with it. And that's exactly what the Green Bay Packers needed to do. While the Packers draft class was very exciting, free agency was awfully quiet for this team. Jair Alexander, someone who I mentioned earlier on this show, was a player they let walk. They cut him, and it was largely in part due to injuries and the production not being worth the contract they were currently paying him. He's now a Baltimore Raven. Besides that, though, Josh Myers also left this team in free agency. A.J. Dillon's now a Philadelphia Eagle. But the big move that they brought over is Aaron Banks from the San Francisco 49ers, providing them a good guard presence, something that they've been lacking for quite some time and should help improve their gap scheme with Josh Jacobs and Matt LaFleur there, which will be very nice to see as this team's relied on a lot of zone type of schemes and relying on their tackles blocking well in run games. So I think a good interior offensive lineman, Mike Banks, could be really beneficial for this team and open up a lot more plays in the ground game for them. Now, the Packers do play in one of the toughest divisions in football in the NFC North. The Bears have made some really loud moves this offseason, new head coach, improved interior offensive line, more weapons around Caleb Williams. The Vikings added Adam Thielen back, made some big-time moves as well on the defensive side of the ball. And then we all know the Detroit Lions are absolutely loaded on both sides of the ball, have a bit of turnover, but this team is absolutely loaded and has dominated the division over the past few seasons. The Packers are going to have their hands cut out for them, so let's take a look at their schedule heading into the 2025 season. Taking a look at the Packers schedule, they open up with the Detroit Lions and the Washington Commanders, two really good litmus tests for this team as they start with the Lions, which is a division rivalry, which should be a great game on the first Sunday on CBS. Then the Commanders, who made it all the way to the NFC Championship game, both really solid games for the Packers to see where this team is at to start the season. I don't know what Micah Parsons' snap count will look like to start the year, but we for sure will see him on the field in both those games. They get two games against the Browns, and then Micah Parsons returns to Dallas, which should be a great game on Sunday Night Football. Don't tell me the script has been leaked, but they knew something about that, putting that game on Sunday night. They have a bye week in week 5, which does not help them. Then they go Bengals, Cardinals, Steelers, Panthers. I think if they walk away from that stretch 3-1, they're going to feel really good about themselves and be a strong position to compete for this division title down the stretch. You go Eagles, Giants, Vikings, Lions, Bears, Broncos, Bears, Ravens, and Vikings to close out. That's a tough schedule with a lot of teams fighting for playoff positioning, and the Packers are going to need to be playing their best football towards the end of the season, but a tough schedule hasn't stopped this team from making the playoffs in the past few seasons. And this year, it seems like this is the year they actually get over the hump against above 500 opponents and play much better heading into the year. All in all, this move is absolutely game changing for the Green Bay Packers. They have an elite defense now, which is something that the Packers have never had in the Matt LaFleur era here in Green Bay. LaFleur is a great coach, and he's coached a lot of very good offenses and, elevated Jordan Love's play throughout his career. He now has a wide receiver one to play with as well. This Packers team has as much talent as it's had over the past decade, and they're loading up for a really, really interesting 2025 season in a tough division and a tough schedule ahead. This could be the year we see Green Bay finally take that next step and make it to the Super Bowl for the first time in a decade. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comment section below how much this move elevates the Green Bay Packers in 2025 and beyond. Hit that subscribe button for more Blitz Sports Media content, and I will catch you guys next time.